The alien queen invited me to her throne. Come, I need you beside me. HFY Sci-Fi Story. Alex Ryden sat in the cockpit of his small exploration vessel, the Starling, staring at the swirling colors of the nebula ahead. He had been stationed on the edge of known space for nearly 3 years, and yet the mysteries of the galaxy never ceased to intrigue him. Most days were quiet, filled with routine scans, maintenance checks, and the occasional message from distant colonies. But today, something unusual appeared on his communications panel, a signal unlike any he had seen before. It wasn't encoded like the usual distress calls or merchant transmissions. It was simple, direct, almost personal. A voice, calm and commanding, resonated through the ship's speakers, speaking in perfect English, though with a melodic undertone that made it unmistakably alien. Come. I need you beside me. To receive a personal invitation from the Queen herself, it was something he never imagined possible. He stared at the message, trying to make sense of it. Was it a trap? Perhaps some alien faction wanted to lure him in. Maybe it was a test of human courage, or something far more dangerous. And yet, beneath the apprehension, curiosity burned fiercely. He had spent years exploring the unknown, and the call of adventure, of the chance to witness something truly extraordinary, was irresistible. After long moments of hesitation, Alex made his decision. He engaged the Starling's engines, feeling the familiar hum of the ship vibrating beneath him. The coordinates embedded in the signal guided him toward the heart of Zelari territory, a place human maps only hinted at. As he passed through the asteroid belts and ion storms, he felt a mix of fear and anticipation. Every star he passed seemed to whisper secrets of distant worlds, but none as compelling as the one waiting for him. Hours turned into days as Alex navigated through the uncharted sectors. The Zelari had designed their territory like a labyrinth of energy fields and hidden gravitational anomalies. Every few hours, his ship's sensors picked up strange readings, fluctuating magnetic fields, bursts of radiation, and alien vessels that vanished the moment he tried to approach them. It was as if the galaxy itself was testing him, gauging his determination. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the nebula ahead cleared, revealing a sight that made Alex catch his breath. There, suspended in the black expanse of space, was the Queen's palace. It was unlike anything he had ever imagined. The structure shimmered with living crystal, its surface reflecting the stars in dazzling colors that seemed almost liquid. Ships moved around it gracefully, not in patterns of aggression, but in organized ballet, circling as if protecting a priceless treasure. Alex's ship approached cautiously, scanning for any sign of hostility. The Zelari fleet detected him instantly, and within moments, sleek silver ships emerged from the shadows of the palace surrounding the Starling. His stomach twisted. Was this it? Had he walked straight into a trap? But instead of opening fire, the escort ships aligned alongside him, guiding him gently toward the palace docking bay. It was clear they were waiting for him, not to destroy him. The docking sequence was smooth, almost elegant. Alex could feel the energy of the palace thrumming beneath him as magnetic clamps secured his ship. The doors opened to reveal a corridor bathed in soft, shimmering light. It pulsed gently, almost like a heartbeat, guiding him forward. He stepped cautiously, every sense alert, as he followed the path toward the throne room. When he entered the chamber, he nearly stumbled back in awe. The room was vast, stretching farther than the eye could see, its walls made of translucent crystal that reflected the light in colors Alex didn't even know existed. The floor beneath him seemed alive, glowing faintly with energy that responded to his steps. And at the center of it all, sitting upon a throne that appeared to be carved from a single, massive crystal, was the Queen herself. She was towering, taller than any human could hope to be, yet her presence was not intimidating in the usual sense. It was regal, commanding respect, but also oddly comforting. Her form shimmered with a soft luminescence, and her eyes, large and luminous, seemed to look straight into Alex's soul. He felt a mixture of fear, reverence, and something he couldn't quite name, recognition perhaps or understanding. Alex Ryden, her voice echoed in the chamber, gentle yet powerful. You have come. I received your message. I wasn't sure. Adaptability, courage, intuition. Your species has qualities that the Zelari have lost over centuries of isolation and perfection. You can see solutions where we see only obstacles. You can act when we hesitate. That is why I need you beside me. And yet the weight of responsibility pressed down on him. He was one human far from Earth in the presence of a being who could command entire worlds. The decision before him was enormous. I don't know if I'm worthy, Alex admitted honestly. I'm just a pilot, a scout. I've never. Humans possess a spark that cannot be replicated. And now, that spark is needed more than ever. He felt a strange sense of destiny unfolding as if every choice he had made had led him to this moment. The queen rose from her throne, moving with a grace that seemed impossible for her size. She extended a hand toward him. Come, stand beside me. Not as a subject, not as a servant, but as an ally. Together, we can face what is coming. The air, or what passed for air in this chamber, was tinged with energy, vibrating softly under his feet. As he reached her side, he felt a strange warmth, a connection not just to the queen, but to something larger, something that bound the fate of his species to the galaxy itself. A voice echoed in his mind, not spoken aloud but clear and resonant. The threat approaches. You will see why your presence is needed. He saw civilizations falling, defenses crumbling, and yet, amidst the chaos, patterns appeared, gaps, weaknesses, points where careful strategy could turn the tide. The queen's eyes met his once more. This is why I called you. Not because of strength, not because of weapons, but because of mind, courage, and heart. You think in ways we no longer can. You see hope where others see despair. Stand with me, Alex Ryden, and show what humanity can do. Tell me what needs to be done. Come, I will show you the paths we have taken, and the paths you might help us forge. Fear remained, but it was tempered by something stronger. The knowledge that humans, even one human, could matter in ways the galaxy had never seen before. And for the first time in his life, Alex Ryden felt that his courage, his instincts, and his humanity were exactly what the universe needed. Alex Ryden followed the Zelari queen deeper into the palace, the walls glowing with shifting light that seemed almost alive. Every step he took echoed softly, as if the palace itself recognized him as something extraordinary. The air hummed with energy, filling his lungs with a strange sense of calm and purpose. He had spent decades among humans, dealing with the unknown, but nothing compared to this. The presence of an entire alien civilization and its ruler placing their trust in him. The queen moved with a grace that was mesmerizing. She didn't walk, she glided, her luminous form barely touching the floor. Her eyes, bright and perceptive, never left him. You must understand the Zelari, Alex, she said, her voice soft but commanding. We are not like humans. Our society values perfection, precision, and predictability. For centuries, we have eliminated variables. But in doing so, we lost what your species has naturally retained, adaptability and intuition. That is why I called you. Humans, however, thrived on unpredictability. They adapted, improvised, and turned disadvantages into opportunities. That was exactly what the queen needed. The corridor opened into a large observation hall, overlooking a section of Zelari space teeming with activity. Ships of various sizes moved in perfect coordination, and Alex could see colonies glowing softly on distant planets, protected by defensive shields and advanced weapon systems. It was a stunning display, both beautiful and intimidating. He felt small, but at the same time, a strange sense of belonging. Somehow here, his skills mattered more than ever. Observe carefully, the queen said, gesturing to the scene before them. These are my people, my worlds. Soon, the threat will reach them, and every choice we make will determine who survives. You will help me plan, Alex. You will teach us to think beyond perfection, to embrace uncertainty and act decisively. I'll do everything I can, he said, but I need to understand more. Who is this enemy and why are they so unstoppable? They do not negotiate, they do not retreat. Entire civilizations fall to them without a chance to fight back. The Zelari alone cannot stop them because our methods rely on predictability, order, and calculation. The Virilan are chaos incarnate. They exploit weakness, unpredictability, and indecision. That is why humans are crucial. Your thinking can counter what we cannot anticipate. He realized that with precise timing and unconventional tactics, it was possible to strike before they could overwhelm the colonies. His mind raced, already plotting possibilities. I see it, he said quietly, almost to himself. There are gaps in their formation, roots they depend on. If we can exploit those, we could slow them down, maybe even redirect them. It won't destroy them completely, but it would give you time to strengthen defenses. He learned about their communication systems, which relied on subtle energy pulses, their advanced technology that manipulated matter at the molecular level, and their political structure, which, despite its beauty and logic, was fragile due to rigid hierarchy. He discovered advisors who were brilliant but limited by tradition, generals who commanded vast fleets yet struggled with improvisation, and citizens who revered perfection above all else. As he learned, Alex realized the second part of his challenge. It wasn't just the Virilan he had to counter. The Zelari themselves, despite their reverence for the Queen, might resist his influence. Humans were unpredictable, even disruptive, and many of their council members viewed him as an outsider, someone unworthy of the Queen's attention. To succeed, he would need not only clever strategies but diplomacy, patience, and trust-building. That evening the Queen led him to a quieter chamber, a space filled with soft light and floating crystalline orbs. Alex, she said, her tone gentle, you are not just a strategist. You are here to understand us, to guide us, and, in time, to stand as my equal in judgment. That is why you must know my people, and why they must know you. This is as much a test of character as of intellect. He was a human far from Earth, yet here he was, standing beside one of the most powerful beings in the galaxy, tasked with shaping the fate of countless lives. The thought was terrifying but also exhilarating. He had faced danger before, but never with stakes so vast. He realized that courage was not the absence of fear, but the determination to act despite it. Over the next few days, Alex worked closely with the Queen and her advisors. He suggested modifications to fleet formations, unconventional patrol routes, and small but significant changes to defense protocols. Some Zelari resisted, clinging to their tried-and-true methods, but others observed quietly, intrigued by the results. Within hours, minor successes began to appear. Small Virilan scouting ships were caught off guard, supply lines were disrupted, and defensive strategies adapted faster than the Zelari alone could manage. The Queen observed quietly, her expression calm yet filled with a subtle pride. You are teaching us more than strategy, Alex, she said one evening. You are teaching us to think differently, to value action and intuition alongside knowledge and calculation. This is a lesson my people needed more than they realized. Every plan had to be precise, every decision deliberate yet flexible. He found himself thinking not just as a human pilot but as a leader, balancing strategy, politics, and the lives of billions. Then came the first major test. Scouts reported a Virilan advance near one of the outer colonies, far larger than anything seen before. The Zelari generals debated endlessly, proposing methods based on previous engagements, rigid formations, direct confrontation, and overwhelming force. Alex listened, waiting for the right moment. Wait, he said finally, stepping forward. The room fell silent. This isn't a situation to follow the usual rules. Their strength is predictable, but their approach is. If we split our forces, feign weakness in the outer sectors, and then strike at the supply lines they rely on, We can slow their advance and protect the colony without engaging in a full-scale battle." The Queen remained silent, her eyes on him, radiating calm assurance. "Proceed," she said simply. The preparations were swift and intense. Alex coordinated with Zelari commanders, explaining the rationale behind his approach and adjusting as needed. He relied on human intuition, anticipating enemy reactions based on subtle patterns and previous behavior. The Zelari, though hesitant, followed his guidance, and within hours the plan was in motion. The first engagement was tense. Virilan ships entered the outer sectors, expecting easy victories. Instead, they encountered unexpected resistance, traps and feints designed to confuse and divide their forces. Alex monitored every move, adjusting the strategy in real time, using his instincts as a pilot and his knowledge of human adaptability to guide the Zelari. By the end of the encounter, the outer colony remained safe, and the Virilan were forced to retreat temporarily. The Zelari generals who had doubted him now regarded him with newfound respect. The Queen watched, her expression unreadable yet her eyes shining with something that could only be pride. "You see, Alex," she said after the battle, as they stood together overlooking the galaxy from her throne room, "human ingenuity is a force even we cannot fully predict. Your courage, your ability to adapt has saved lives today, but this is only the beginning. The Virilan will return, stronger and more determined. We must continue to learn from you, and you must continue to learn from us." He was a strategist, a trusted ally to the Queen, and a symbol of what humans could achieve in a universe far larger and more complex than Earth. As he gazed out at the stars, he realized that this was more than a battle for survival. It was a chance to show that humanity could matter on a scale beyond imagination. And standing beside the Queen, he knew that together, they could face anything the galaxy sent their way. Alex Ryden stood in the Queen's war chamber, staring at the holographic displays that floated in the air before him. The battle against the Virilan was far from over. Though their first encounter had ended in a temporary victory, reports now indicated that the enemy was regrouping, learning from their mistakes, and moving faster than anyone had predicted. The Queen had summoned him not just for strategy, but for leadership. His human intuition and unconventional thinking had earned her trust, and now the survival of entire worlds depended on the ideas of one man from Earth. "Alex," the Queen said, her voice calm but carrying weight, "the Council is uneasy. Some believe your plans rely too much on chance. They question why I would follow your guidance instead of our traditional methods. You must convince them, or our unity will falter before the Virilan even arrive. Show them the patterns I've observed and the reasoning behind my strategies. They may not fully trust intuition, but evidence can bridge the gap." A human standing before the Council, a mere pilot, guiding their Queen, it was unprecedented. Some seemed offended, others curious, and a few cautiously hopeful. Alex began by showing them the recent engagements with the Virilan, projecting detailed sequences of fleet movements and supply lines. He spoke clearly, breaking down his reasoning in simple, logical steps. "The Virilan are fast, yes, and their ships are strong, but their reliance on predictable supply routes is their weakness. By targeting these points, we can slow their advance, divide their forces, and protect key colonies. The battle is not won by overwhelming force alone. It is won by knowing where and when to strike." Some of the generals leaned forward, intrigued. A senior advisor spoke, his voice sharp. "You propose we rely on deception and improvisation. That is risky. If the Virilan anticipate it, we could lose entire fleets. If one move fails, we adjust immediately. The Virilan cannot predict that, and that gives us the advantage. That is the human way, and now it can be the Zelari way too." Alex was assigned to lead a fleet tasked with intercepting a small Virilan advance, a critical opportunity to prove that human methods could work in real situations. The fleet departed quickly, and Alex found himself once again in the cockpit of a ship, though this time commanding dozens of Zelari vessels. He felt the familiar hum of the engines beneath him, but the responsibility now stretched far beyond his own safety. Every decision, every maneuver could determine the fate of hundreds of lives. As the Viriland ships appeared on sensors, Alex took a deep breath. They moved with terrifying speed and coordination, but he noticed subtle patterns. The enemy relied on predictable attack sequences, striking first at supply lines, then defensive outposts. Alex adjusted his fleet formations, deliberately leaving openings that would lure the Viriland into traps. It was a strategy that required trust in his human intuition and the willingness of the Zelari captains to follow orders that went against centuries of tradition. The engagement was intense. Viriland ships advanced, expecting easy targets, only to find themselves surrounded by ambushes and unexpected maneuvers. Alex monitored every move, issuing commands with calm precision. He had studied the enemy carefully, predicting their reactions, and the plan began to unfold perfectly. Midway through the battle, a Viriland destroyer managed to breach one of the outer defenses, heading straight for a small colony. Panic rippled through the Zelari fleet, but Alex remained focused. He issued rapid adjustments, redirecting ships, creating diversions, and exploiting the enemy's predictable patterns. The destroyer was eventually isolated and neutralized, saving the colony from certain destruction. The battle ended with a decisive victory for the Zelari-Human alliance. The Viriland had suffered significant losses and were forced to retreat. The council, watching from the palace, was stunned. Even the most skeptical advisors could not deny the effectiveness of Alex's approach. After the engagement, the queen summoned Alex to her private chamber. "You have done well," she said, her voice carrying a rare warmth. "Not only have you saved lives, but you have shown my people that there is value in thinking differently. They may resist at first, but they will learn. And so will we all. Not just as a strategist, but as a guide, a teacher, and a symbol of hope. Your presence reminds us that even in a galaxy dominated by power and perfection, courage and adaptability can change the outcome." He also began to understand the deeper politics of Zelari society. There were factions within the council, some loyal to tradition, others curious about human ways. A few tried to undermine him, questioning his decisions in subtle ways, attempting to sway the queen's judgment. Alex quickly learned to navigate these intrigues, balancing diplomacy with strategy and relying on honesty and competence to earn respect. One evening, as Alex reviewed fleet positions with the queen, she spoke quietly. "Alex, you are more than a human in our world. You are a bridge between two species, a reminder that strength is not only measured in power, but in thought, courage, and adaptability. Many will resist this truth, but history will remember it." Yet now, he realized that his presence here could shape the future of countless civilizations. It was a responsibility he could not ignore, and he would rise to meet it. As the days passed, reports arrived of increasing Viriland activity. Small colonies were threatened, and scouts reported that the enemy was testing defenses across multiple sectors. Alex and the queen worked together to predict their movements, setting traps and fortifying vulnerable locations. The queen trusted him completely, and in turn, he trusted her guidance and the capabilities of the Zelari people. During one particularly intense briefing, a young Zelari commander approached Alex hesitantly. "Sir, your methods are unconventional," he said, his voice tinged with nervous respect. "But they work. I've never seen such results. How do you know what to do when there is no precedent?" "The key is to stay calm, watch carefully, and act decisively. Predict what your opponent does not expect, and you gain the advantage." They were beginning to value unpredictability, creativity, and courage, the very traits that had made humanity remarkable. One night, as Alex gazed out over the galaxy from the Queen's observation deck, He felt a strange sense of connection. The stars seemed closer here, their light reflecting in the crystalline surfaces of the palace. He had crossed vast distances, faced unknown dangers, and now stood at the center of a civilization that could either survive or fall depending on his actions. The weight of responsibility was immense, but he felt ready. The queen joined him silently, her presence calming yet commanding. "The Virilen will return," she said, "stronger, smarter, and more relentless. But with you beside me, we have hope. You have already changed the course of events, Alex. The galaxy will see what humans can do. Together, we can protect your people, and perhaps even show the Virilen that not all species can be conquered. And humanity will be remembered, not for destruction, but for courage, ingenuity, and the ability to rise when all seemed lost." But he also knew that with the Queen's trust and the alliance of the Zelari people, humanity's unique strengths could tip the balance. He thought of Earth, of the people he had left behind, and felt a renewed sense of purpose. He was far from home, yet he had found a role that mattered on a cosmic scale. And as the stars glittered outside his window, Alex Ryden realized that this was more than a battle. It was a chance to show that humans, even one human, could stand beside the greatest powers of the galaxy and make a difference. And he was ready. The warning alarms blared across the Queen's palace, echoing through the crystalline halls like the cries of 1,000 unseen beings. Alex Ryden snapped awake in his quarters, his heart pounding. The Virilen had returned, and this time their fleet was massive, a dark swarm stretching across the sector. Reports confirmed it. The enemy was moving fast, targeting multiple colonies at once, testing every defense. The time for preparation was over. The time to act had come. Alex hurried to the war chamber, where the Queen and her council were already gathered. Her luminous form was calm as always, yet there was a quiet tension in the air. Zelari commanders moved with precision, preparing their ships for battle, but their expressions betrayed uncertainty. Humans were unpredictable, the Queen had said, and now they would rely on one for guidance. Alex quickly reviewed the fleet formations on the holographic map. The Virilen were advancing in multiple waves, using overwhelming numbers and speed to strike at key positions. He noted the patterns, their movement sequences, the timing of their attacks, the gaps they left when overextended. It was clear. The Virilen expected the Zelari to follow rigid defensive protocols, and they had prepared for that. But Alex had a plan. "Listen carefully," he said, turning to the council and the Queen. "They expect perfection. That is our advantage. We will not fight conventionally. We will use decoys, ambushes, and unpredictable maneuvers. Human strategy relies on flexibility. We hit where they least expect it, disrupt their formations, and force them to react to us. Timing will be everything. If it fails, entire colonies will fall." The Zelari fleet moved under his guidance, coordinating with his instructions. Fleets split into smaller groups, creating the illusion of vulnerability, while hidden forces waited in ambush positions. Patrols were rerouted, defenses strengthened in unexpected ways, and scouts moved ahead, feeding real-time data into Alex's strategy. The Virilen approached, massive dark shapes moving with relentless speed, and for a moment the galaxy seemed to hold its breath. The first wave of enemy ships struck as expected, aiming directly for the outer colonies. Alex's fleet responded with a combination of feints and calculated retreats, drawing the Virilen into traps. Hidden Zelari ships emerged from energy fields, striking at critical points in the enemy formation. Explosions erupted in space, illuminating the dark void, yet the precision of the attacks minimized Zelari losses. Alex felt the familiar rush of focus, every decision relying on instinct, observation, and the trust of those around him. Mid-battle, a massive Virilen command vessel breached the perimeter, heading straight for the heart of a vulnerable colony. Panic rippled through some sectors of the fleet, but Alex remained calm. "Divert the strike team's left. Lead the command vessel into the trap at Sector 79. Timing is critical. Don't fire until I give the signal. Relief swept through the fleet, but Alex knew the fight was far from over. The Virilan regrouped quickly, adapting to his tactics, but Alex anticipated their learning. They will try the same maneuver again, but slightly altered. We must force them into repeating mistakes. Shift the fleet patterns now, confuse them, slow them down. Use the corridors of energy fields to our advantage. By the end of the battle day, the Virilan had suffered heavy losses. Their advance slowed, and key colonies remained secure. As the fleet regrouped, Alex allowed himself a moment to breathe. The Queen approached, her form radiant in the light of the stars outside the observation window. "You have done more than I imagined possible," she said softly. "Your strategies have saved countless lives." The Zelari are beginning to understand the value of human thought, of courage combined with adaptability. You have shown them that even in a perfect society, imperfection, your kind of imperfection, can triumph. They are relentless, but we are not helpless. Officers who had doubted him at first started to embrace his methods, experimenting with flexibility and intuition. What had once been an alien concept, acting without a predetermined plan, became a new tool in their arsenal. Then came the final confrontation. Intelligence reported that the Virilan fleet, larger than ever before, was moving directly toward the Queen's home system. The entire Zelari Empire faced annihilation if they failed. The Queen called a meeting with Alex and her closest advisors, and the tension in the chamber was palpable. Alex studied the data carefully. The enemy had learned from previous battles and was adapting, but not fast enough to counter the ingenuity of a human mind combined with Zelari technology. "We hit them with a combination they cannot anticipate," he said. "We split their forces using decoys, then strike at their supply and command ships. They rely on predictability. We will give them chaos." Alex coordinated the complex maneuvers, his mind racing as he predicted the enemy's responses. The first wave engaged the decoys, falling into carefully designed traps. Hidden Zelari ships, following his instructions, struck at critical points, while Alex directed reserves to exploit weaknesses in real time. Explosions lit up space, energy beams and missile volleys colliding in a spectacle of light and sound, yet every action was precise and calculated. During the battle, a Virilan dreadnought broke through defenses, threatening a major colony. Panic spread momentarily among the Zelari, but Alex acted instantly. All strike teams converge on the dreadnought. Use gravitational fields to trap it. Don't let it escape. Alex, exhausted but exhilarated, allowed himself a moment to take it all in. Humans had been underestimated, yet here he was, standing as proof of their ingenuity, courage, and adaptability. The Queen approached him, her expression both proud and warm. "Alex Ryden," she said, "you have not only saved my people, but you have changed how we see the galaxy and ourselves. Your presence has shown us that courage, intuition, and human thought can overcome even the greatest threats. Together, we were stronger than the Virilan expected." The Queen kept him close, not as a servant, but as an advisor and equal, valuing his judgment and instinct in all matters of defense and governance. One evening, as Alex gazed out at the galaxy from the Queen's observation deck, she joined him silently. "The Virilan may return someday," she said softly, "but the galaxy now knows that humans can stand beside even the greatest powers, that courage and ingenuity can shape destiny. You have proven that your species is more than capable of surviving, thriving, and inspiring hope." He thought of Earth, of humanity, and of all the ordinary people whose ingenuity and courage made moments like this possible. He realized that being human meant more than survival. It meant creativity, resilience, and the ability to make a difference when all seemed lost. Turning to the Queen, he nodded. "Then we prepare for whatever comes next. Together." And in that moment, humanity's light shone brighter than ever, reaching across the galaxy, leaving an indelible mark on the cosmos.